Hello, Midland Christian family, and welcome to the MCS podcast telling the story of Midland Christian School, past, present, and future. All right, hello, and welcome into the studio here at Midland Christian School. We are pleased to be joined by Mr. Jung.
Good afternoon.
And Miss Abigail Holmes.
Hello, hello.
Thank you guys for being here. And if you don't mind, just kind of tell me, as we start the school year, tell me just a little bit about your department, what it is exactly that you do, and kind of where are you in the school year, and what are some of the things that are coming up with your programs?
Sure. So for theater department, we hit the ground running. We are running very fast, actually. So we started our one-act play for high school. This year we're doing 3 productions. So we've got our high school one-act play, we've got our middle school one-act play, and then our spring musical, which we're super excited about. For the theater department specifically, we've got 2 classes going. We've got a high school class and a middle school class. The middle school, actually, we've got 26 kiddos in there, and they are just so pumped. There's a lot of talent here at MCS, and so I'm super excited to just see what we've got to work with.
Absolutely. And Joe, I know walking through the hallway right across there at IT, where I spend a little bit of time, I hear you guys are making lots of joyful noises at this part of the year. And so what is it that you guys have just in the short term here ready for a choir?
Well, very quickly coming up, we have Grandparents' Day for our elementary kids. So our 5th grade choir is working on a couple of songs for that. Being a lot earlier this year, it definitely is hitting the ground running with that. And then our high school is working on some of their all-region competition things that are going on through the fall. And then middle school and high school collaboratively are working on their, we're actually initiating a Veterans Day program this year. This is the first time that we're doing that, and we're super excited about that. Be a great opportunity for us to be able to give back to a lot of our community members who have served, family members who have lost loved ones, things like that. But we're super excited to be working on that. And then after that, we'll be hot and heavy into Christmas and things like that. So yeah, it's been a great start to the semester so far. So amazing kids to work with, and get to work with a lot of really cool music.
Yeah, there's no rest for the weary. You make lots of plans over the summer, and you feel like you get everything in a good spot, and then the school year kind of happens whether you like it or not. And we get rolling, and it's a good speed, a good pace. I love this part of the year where we're actually in kind of a rhythm. Mm-hmm. You've kind of found your rhythm, and you really get to start digging down into the second, third layers of your programs and getting to know your students and being involved in their lives. You guys mentioned Grandparents' Day coming up here this week. One of the most well-attended programs that we have in the entire year. So a lot of people on campus. And that's just always a very enjoyable day to see the interaction between generations and to see those grandparents on campus and in classrooms. So we're looking forward to those performances and just that day of being together as a community. And so I want to move back to you, Abigail, and you've got, first of all, this is your second year.
Yes.
And so kind of tell us a little bit about your backstory, your history. How did you get to Midland and Midland Christian? And just kind of tell us about your experience growing up in fine arts.
Sure. So I was born and raised in Dallas, city girl. So moving to Midland was an adjustment. Lived there my whole life. I ended up here actually through a connection with another coworker, and so heard about the job. I was in the midst of just graduated college. I had a vocal studio. I've been teaching voice for about 6 or 7 years now, and so from there I was like, okay, I want to do something more with the arts, and so that's how I ended up in Midland. My background specifically, I studied vocal performance and theater for 6 years, and I've always loved music. And so from the time I was 11 or 12, started out worship leading at my parents' church, and that just kind of grew into a passion and a desire to perform. And now I'm in this place where I want to just help students find their voice, whether it's singing, acting, worship leading, even storytelling. I feel like that's a big one for our kids as well. Everybody has a story to tell. So that's really exciting to get to work with kids who have that desire. But anyway, that's kind of a little teeny bit about myself.
Yeah, and we're so excited to have you, and it's been great getting to know you and your program as it's developing. But I want to check in with you guys on one thing that's been really neat that I've noticed, and that's our student led worship and some of the worship. I know, Joe, that you've been involved in over the years here, and now Abigail's come as well. Kind of tell us what the heart is behind that, and kind of how you've seen kind of that specific program grow.
I remember all the way back 10 years ago when our worship on at chapel was primarily led by Ben Wall, and he might invite a couple students up to lead with him, but that was usually about the full extent of it. And it was always great to see students up there worshiping with him. But I knew that we had a lot of really talented students who were very capable of doing just as much, if not more. So it was always just a strong drive to try and harness a lot of that energy, that ability to worship, because our ultimate goal always is for the students to be ready to take over from one generation to the next, that mantle of leadership, whether it's worship, whether it is in preaching, whether it is in just service. We want them to take that on, and so it's been a big joy being able to do that. But I know with the busyness of my typical schedule and all that kind of thing, it's been a challenge from one time to another. So we're definitely glad to have Abigail on there, able to really devote a lot of concentrated time with those students and develop those abilities.
Yeah, one of the things that I enjoy just the most is all of our praise chapels, especially when we have all of our students together, K through 12. If you've never been to a all school praise chapel, whether that be with Albert and Greg and Abigail now, or when our students lead it, I love sitting at the front of the room, looking back towards and having the younger kids sing. It's like, man, that's just so impactful. Just hearing our entire campus worship together. So I'm so thankful for both you guys who have invested a lot in that space, and excited to see how that grows. But I want to pivot here, and both of you guys are also very involved in the spring musical, which is like one of the most exciting announcements of the year. We announced to the campus this last week.
Yep.
And so I just want to kind of open the floor, open the airwaves for you guys to kind of tell us what you have planned, and kind of give the exciting news of what's coming up in the spring for the musical.
Yeah, so this year our musical is The Sound of Music. If you haven't heard your kids talk about it yet, we are really excited about this one. I mean, we've already been getting a lot of feedback from everybody, parents, staff, kids. But I think the most exciting part about this year's musical is that we're inviting some of the elementary to join as well. If you know the story of The Sound of Music, you know that it's all ages from 5 to 16, 17. Well, Lisa will turn 17, right? But we're really excited because I feel like it's going to represent our theme that the school is presenting of us, the us and Mustangs. And so I think we really want to strive to get that message across to our audience, but it has to start with us, with our team, with our students. And so through music, through the acting, through even technical stuff, the kids who are up in the light booth, who are backstage moving props, moving sets, I think it's really important that we take this message, we take this show, and there's just so many lessons that we can learn from it. So we're excited.
Yeah, so maybe let's start at the very beginning.
A very good place to start.
I couldn't help myself.
Yes.
That's really bad, really poor dad joke,
I was
and
hoping there was
it's
gonna be
where
some
we are
sort
there.
of
But
reference. It's okay.
for those that are interested, and I know just at All School Chapel when you guys announced, and the way that you did it was really cool. You started reading and kind of giving creating a picture right before you announced, and you could just hear the murmurs and the guesses and the rumblings. Yeah, and it just grew and grew, almost like unruly because the excitement was growing. But as you announced, I could tell immediately people were like, oh, so-and-so could be this and so-and-so could be this. And because there's so many different parts and so many ages, like you mentioned, and it really does. It is this opportunity to do this actual musical on this year,
Mm-hmm.
when we really are digging into the us and Mustangs, it really is neat to see people starting to buy in really early and say,
Mm-hmm.
hey, this is going to be a great community effort.
Yeah.
Not just, the theater program or choir, or, not just our technical groups,
Right.
but there's going to be a lot of people involved. So for people that are excited about that and want to get involved, what would you tell people about, the next thing is, well, when are tryouts and when is the next news coming?
Yeah. Let's do that.
Well, one of the first things I would say for those that are excited about it, or even that are having thoughts about it, as much as our kids are coming in, I mean, I know I came into my classroom the other day and a few of them were sitting there scribbling on the board, okay, that if this person could play this character, this person could, they had the entire cast already planned, but I want everybody to understand, first of all, that is not where we are.
Right.
We are so excited. And one of the most fun things that we get to do is to go through that audition process. Mm-hmm. And mm-hmm. there's always somebody who comes up and we're like, oh my goodness, where did this talent come from? Yep. Where has this person been? And so it's always a surprise to us as to how that cast list is actually going to fall. And so we're excited about getting to see all the new people who just want to come out and try this for the first time. And because this cast is a much larger cast than what we had last year, it has a lot more opportunity for students to come in and be a part. So whether they're worried about coming in and whether they're going to get a part or whether they're going to even make the cast, there's a lot more opportunity for that this year than there was last year. And so we're super excited about that. And then, of course, there's so many different areas that people can be a part, whether, like she mentioned, with lighting, sound, with technical construction, makeup, costumes,
so much,
and then of course of the dancing and singing and acting and everything else. There's just so many ways that everybody can be a part, and so that's the part that we get the most excited about, and really look forward to seeing those pieces come together.
Yeah. And to answer your question about when, because I know a lot of people are wondering, when are you auditioning? It'll be later in the semester, so there's plenty of time to prepare. We're looking at, that first, second weekend of December, just to give people a chance to start getting excited, obviously, but to start thinking through how can you prepare. And, Mr. Jung and I have talked about last year, how can we help the kids? If you don't know how to find an audition song, we're here to help you with that. If you've never done this before, we are here to help with that process. So I hope if anybody hears anything today, if you've never done this before, try it, do it. Go out for it. Let's just see what happens, because you really never know what could come of it.
And the same is true for the technical aspect too. We will provide you with any training that you need to be able to be successful in those technical areas. So if it's just something you want to try, want to learn about, by all means come out, and we will make sure that you are trained in the way.
Yes.
Absolutely. I think about last year, my favorite cast member was Coach Cunningham.
Yes.
And so you talk about people coming out of the woodworks, or people like, well, I didn't know they could do that, or where's this person been, or hey, this role is perfect for you, or whatever it might be. I always love the spring musical. This will be my 9th, to see, hey, what is going to happen, who's going to show up, and you see it time and time again, someone shows up, like you mentioned.
Talking about different, we don't just have theater kids come and do theater. We've had football players, track, you name all the sports. They want to try different things, and we want to encourage that. And so I hope that kids know there's no limitations. Like whether you've done this for 10 years or you've tried it for a month, I think that's where the whole idea of us can really take flight this year, especially. So
yeah, looking forward to just the entire community getting involved and seeing what that looks like and how it grows over the next several months. And so with the musical, I know the last few years that I office in the gym, and so I see you guys daily, and kind of as the set builds and as things kind of come together and hear the practices, it's a really neat perspective. And then the thing that's always really exciting is when they start moving stuff in, like moving in the risers, moving in the seating and all of that stuff. Tell me a little bit about that whole process. Obviously we're in a shared space, and it's not it's a temporary, we're all kind of moving parts around, and so it's not really a live-in stage like you might have in different places. So what all is involved in getting that that venue ready for a performance like you guys do in the spring?
It's a very extensive process that you start almost a year in advance, reserving those risers to have them ready to come in, and coordinating the timing that they're going to come in and do that. But then, of course, you've got chairs, you've got the concession area out in the front, ticket sales, getting all those things. I mean, that's months in advance. You've got a lot of lighting, sound things that you start making notes about early on. And then as you get closer to the production, you start focusing those lights in those areas that you want them, planning exactly how you're going to arrange your microphones to where the people who need them the most are going to have them. And just so many different pieces that eventually come together. And then, of course, for the past, I think, 8 of those 9 years, we've been working cooperatively with Redeemer Church because they use our stage as well. And so that's always been a big challenge when we're building our sets, is to make it mobile enough that it can completely be cleared off the stage for their weekly services and then brought back on for our rehearsal process and everything. So I've become a part-time engineer.
Can you share about last year's set?
Absolutely. Yeah. I'd love to hear.
Mobile?
I saw it, and I know. And so just to kind of frame this, you guys practice every evening, once you guys get into that phase. And so you put the set together, and then every evening you tear it down, or maybe not every evening, but at least once a week or more than that, you clear the stage.
Yeah.
And so you become very familiar with those pieces. Tell me more about that exact process.
Well, I know last year, as we were working through it, we were trying to figure out, 'cause I actually had to sit down and kind of calculate how many boards we had in that piece, and then how much, based off of, Home Depot's website, how much does one of those boards weigh, and adding all that stuff together just to make sure that the wheels, the unit that I was going to build to lift it off the ground, was going to be hefty enough to easily sustain it and to carry it. And so we had to work through a lot of those formulas, and then we built a substructure that was just a framework with a couple of heavy duty car jacks, actually.
When he says we, by the way, it's not us. I didn't build. He was the master of this. Continue.
My alter egos and I.
Okay.
But yeah, we built a carriage that sat inside the large platform that we had built, and we used 2 car jacks that we just used to lift it up onto those wheels and then roll it off, and then had. It sounds very macabre to say, but they're called coffin locks because they're the same kind of locking mechanisms that are used in coffins, but they're also used in theatrical and lots of other applications as well. But coffin locks to lock those pieces together once we got them into place on stage, just to make sure that nothing shifted as the students were walking on it. But yeah, making sure that it's a very safe apparatus for the kids to be able to operate on, but at the same time, ability to move it off and clear the stage so that the church can have the absolute best worship that they can possibly have as well.
So many moving parts.
Yes.
When you get into a production, this size, and you want to make it excellent. It would be easy maybe to say, well, we might not be able to do that. It's going to require a little extra work, but I see you guys and your families and the kids time and time again, going over and beyond to make it as excellent as possible. And we as a campus, commend you guys for that effort and that work. And really specifically, as it costs a lot of money. I mean, just up front, you got a lot of things you have to purchase ahead of time. Yeah. The actual equipment to build your sets, bringing in the risers. What are some of those things that the annual fund has helped your programs with, and maybe something that you're looking forward to in the future?
Well, last year we got the curtain. That was one of the new and improvements of the stage. And then, like you mentioned, this year, the annual fund's going to cover the risers, and then we're hoping to get some new lighting, updating some of the lighting system, and ultimately just to make it the best experience for our audience. We talk a lot about we want it to be a good experience for the kids, but we're telling a story, and so I think that's going to help. So of course, when you're sitting in the risers, that's a part of what you're supporting, and then of course the curtain. That's just pretty. Yes. It's just fun. It's just fun.
Well, and last year we were also able to add on a lot more microphones. I mean, that's one of the things that we have struggled with for years. The microphones that we purchased way back when we started were on the lower end quality scale of the side of that scale, just because it's what we could afford at the time. And we always had the issues that they were cutting out because of digital interference from cell phones and things like that. And so we've been working year after year after year after that to try and get more microphones in that were going to be more resilient in that kind of an environment. And so last year we really had no
That's
issues
great.
that I can remember of
Yeah.
anybody cutting out. But that had been a problem for years that we dealt with. But thanks to the annual fund, we were able to have a really, really good setup last year that made it easy for people to hear and made that production just really soar.
Maybe something that people don't notice, but that's kind of the intent, right? Is that you're not thinking about the sound quality or the speakers or how loud or how, and
If you notice it, it's probably because of a problem, not because of
right.
how
It's
good.
like a good referee. You just don't even know he's there.
Yeah.
You know. So thank you to all that continue to donate to the annual fund to help us continue to improve. And like you said, put on the best performance possible. Looking forward kind of into the future, I know you guys are probably right in the middle. It's hard to kind of forecast out, but what are some of the things, maybe big picture for your programs or for the school that you are looking forward to, or maybe that some of the dreams and desires that you have for your programs?
I mean, ultimately, a shared space for the fine arts, I think, would be really cool. You know, just of course our stage, but practice rooms, you know, where kids can go in. We can do small groups. But I think just for me as a newer team member here, just having a space where these kids can really build that dream that they have to perform, whatever that looks like. And I know for choir it might be different or along the same lines, but I don't know. I just practically a black box theater, that would be kind of cool, you know. But I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at. Just lots of space.
Well, and so much of what I look forward to, like in addition to the space, I mean, having a facility that we can bring other people in, bring other organizations and host competitions to where they get to see the amazing way that this community supports the arts. And I also look forward to a day that our students are all just 100% bought into everything that this campus has to offer, and to where we have students who are not looking at each other as athlete or artistic person or science math person or something like that. We don't want kids to see each other that way. We want everybody to be invested all the way around. I mean, we talk about our 4 pillars here for our ideal graduate profile and so many of the things that have gone into that. And that essentially is a well-rounded person who is able to serve God through how they interact with each other, how they worship, how they use their mind to expand it and to be able to add to God's kingdom. And you know, I tell kids all the time, everything that we learn, we have so much opportunity to serve God through, whether it's learning about his creation through science and seeing how amazingly complex it is, yet he was able to formulate it all to where it exists in a perfect balance, where we understand that God is a God of order because of mathematics, and that there are specific rules that guide the entire universe that way. But then you get into the arts and we have the ability to feel and to embrace and to worship God and to love each other that way through athletics, that you are building up your strength so that you can take the battle that's coming to us, because there is a battle that we will be fighting against the enemy. And so we've got to be ready to take on that battle and to be soldiers for God as well. And so everything that we do here at this school is intentional, and everything that we do here is important in the kingdom of God. And so we don't want people who are just soldiers. We don't want people who are just this, just that. We want them to all be everything for God.
Yeah, it's a beautiful picture of what we're trying to accomplish here. And to your point, you know what I'd love to see. I remember sitting in Kent Hance's class at Texas Tech, and I don't know how many times I heard him say, "Dream no little dreams."
Yeah.
You know, dream no little dreams, and you know what might be possible, and what God has for us in 2 years, in 5 years, in 10 years. I'm not going to put a limit on what might be possible, what might add to His kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
And then just the journey of, we focus a lot on the product, on the performance, whether that be in athletics or in the classroom or on the stage. But so much of what makes the experience for our community is everything before.
Yep.
It's designing sets together. It's eating cold pizza on the stage. It's all those times that you spend leading up to. And I'm always really struck by the interaction between cast members and crew after the final performance. And it's not that, they're crying and they're sad, not because the performance is over, but because they're kind of mourning the loss of team, the loss of community, because they know that group won't be together again in that same setting. And it just shows how important, the entire process is, and that community that you build over a year, and then you do it again. So thankful for you guys and what you do, how much you invest in our kids and our campus. We won't dream any little dreams for the fine arts program or anywhere else on campus. And we want to continue to, to live into God's will. And I love that you bring up our ideal graduate profile and our pillars and our mission statement. It really gives us a nice pathway forward and a way to really ground ourselves in what is the goal and how do we get there. So Joe and Abigail, thank you guys so much for taking some time out of your day, joining us here in the studio on the podcast. And we look forward to having you on again sometime, maybe a little closer to our performance. I know you won't have very much time.
When we're pulling our hair out.
When you're pulling your hair out. But
Might have the jitters.
maybe we'll have some of your cast members, or we'll have some updates throughout the year on the Sound of Music. So be sure to visit the website, mcs1.org, and visit the Fine Arts page and the Spring Musical page for updates. I know those will come throughout the year. And be sure to give the annual fund and make programs and performances like this possible. We just look forward to what God has in store for us the rest of this year. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you.